Hi, I wanted to discuss the differences between the definition of conversion, Umsatz, and yield Ausbeute between the standard usage in English for engineers and in chemists and in German, because it's causing some confusion in my German lecture. So here from the German Wikipedia page about stoichiometry, we can see that the definition of Umsatz here is related to it's just the fraction of stuff that's converted. So I can write this here. The German definition of conversion, here I'm writing it with respect to A, is the initial amount of A minus what's unreacted divided by the initial amount. Then the definition of yield is given. In the German article, it's given as the amount of P, or the product forming, minus what's initially available with respect to the total amount of A that's available at the beginning of the reaction. So here in the German standard usage, I'm calling it R, the amount of product minus what's available initially divided by the amount of reactant that's required to build it, here multiplied by the stoichiometric coefficients. And in German, it then goes further and gives a relationship that yield is related to the conversion multiplied by the selectivity. Now I want to show you how these terms are defined by octave Levenspiel. Okay, here's conversion. Defined by octave Levenspiel, the conversion is just the fraction of A here, he calls it, that's being converted. So here for Levenspiel, XA is equal to NA naught minus NA divided by NA naught. This is identical to the German definition. So there's no problem. Let's see how he defines yield. Octave Levenspiel defines yield as the amount of product R formed divided by the amount of A reacted. So in the Levenspiel definition, so taking it here from the amount of R formed in moles instead of concentration would be the amount of R at the end minus that initially is the amount formed divided by the amount of A reacted. So this is the initial amount minus what's left over from A. Okay, in my course, Chemische Prozesse und Anlagen, I recommended a book, Müller-Erlwein, Chemische Reaktionstechnik. You can see he defines Umsatz the same way as in the formula that we already have, so the conversion, that's not really the problem. Then he defines here the yield. We can see again here, this is the amount converted divided by the total amount of what here would be A used. And so this equation, this also matches what I have. So here the amount that's a product form minus whatever is there initially divided by the total amount of reactant, so here eingesetzte Menge, multiplied by the stoichiometric coefficients. And then he comes up with the selectivity, which is given the selectivity is equal to the yield divided by the conversion. And in English, selectivity is not defined this way, and it's, the selectivity, the definition can be quite a bit different. I want to show one more table. So here, according to Müller-Erlwein, so here's a graph showing conversion. So originally there's 100% of A, and afterwards 87.5% has been converted, 12.5% has not been converted, and here this is the yield. In Müller-Erlwein, if you add these two numbers, 62.5% plus 25%, the yields add up to the conversion. And I just want to point out in English this isn't the case, but rather the yields here, they also represent this fraction, but they add up to 100%. And this is pretty much the only difference in my understanding of how they ought to be defined. Here, according to Müller-Erlwein, the way the selectivity is defined. This is also the same. This is the amount converted, and now these numbers, the selectivity, 71.4% plus 28.6%, the two selectivities add up to 100%. And in the English version, this is actually the definition of the yield.